Sugandhi.
And one more point I wanted to add is, like this is basically like we discuss a lot about this. So, especially now in fishing industry, so there is like traditional way and then they basically industrialize the whole thing. So like the debate between is, like it is actually happening and it's one of the things I notice.
True. There's a small documentary on YouTube. I don't know the name, but you can just Google it. It tells about the fishing industry, especially in Mahe. Mahe is a huge fishing port. Almost 80% of the fish which they catch is not edible. So it goes into other industries like paint industry and fodder and other things. So basically, you're catching those fish which is not edible. Like Gandhi said, you can catch all that you want. What you can eat. Don't catch which you just have to. You're going to waste. What's the exact sentence, sir? By Gandhi, nature can need and greed. Need and greed. Sorry.
There's enough for everyone's need, but not for everyone's.
Exactly. Yeah. So that is what is happening here. Every day, and I'm not blaming any fishermen for that because that's the nature of human nature. This port, Malpe, was technically built to support, I think, 1,000 boats. Now there are more than 4,000 boats fishing. So what happens when you don't have fish? Then you go farther because there's technology available. And governments also do that. Government says, okay, diesel free. Educate the fishermen, and it's not about diesel. When you put free diesel, the boats will go farther. That means you're catching the fish which is not supposed to be caught. So you're emptying the womb of the ocean, and then you say this fishing season was bad. There is no fish to catch. It's not that you didn't catch it. And you start fishing in rainy season when there's officially a fishing holiday because you're supposed to allow the fish to breed. So you're fishing there, and Adive Baglu, what do you say? The Adive Baglu.
Mangroves.
Estuaries. Estuaries are the place where the ocean is mixing with the rivers. So where the water is not completely sweet, it's not completely salty. Like it's a mixture of both the waters. And the temperature is right where the sea fish will come and hatch. So the sea fish, those which are edible, they actually come into the estuaries, lay their eggs and go. So the temperature and salt content of the water is, good enough for the fish to hatch. So those areas we have, have huge sand mafias where the temperatures change, the temperatures of the water change, and you have huge industries, homestays happening in up the stream in Western Ghats. So the river is disturbed. So the nutrients which used to flow into the estuaries have changed. There is agriculture happening, industrialized agriculture happening where you throw pesticides to farms because you want to increase your productivity. So that pesticide is flowing in through the rivers into the ocean, which has sulfur. So the fish cannot survive in that atmosphere. So it is, when you disturb one twig somewhere in 100 kilometers away, it has a butterfly effect. It has impact on estuaries. So when we look at ecological problem in separate boxes, when we say, oh, fishermen are not able to catch fish, give them extra diesel so that they can go further and catch fish. It is just a temporary solution. When you can cut me whenever I'm going too long. When we look at ecological problem as, why is there sea erosion, like what you call sea erosion, right? Like when the sea starts eating up the land. Every year, a lot of houses are lost, fishermen houses are lost because the sea is eating up the land. Why is it happening? Because we have built artificial checks to the waves. So there is a documentary on that also. Like if you build a port, it's new manual port. So the port is built in such a way that the natural tides don't come in. They're not allowed. There are like ports in Arab countries where the ports are designed in a particular way so that these ocean tides are not disturbed. So that soil erosion is less. So here, our boulders, our stones are no match to this power of might of ocean. It's all like pebbles. You just throw it away. But there is a lot of contract to be given. The political machinery works on the basis of contract, and there are already 3 highways to get down from the ghats, but we are already planning another underground tunnel. We are already planning cutting of trees to create power lines, cutting of trees again to build railway tracks in the name of development. So you are constantly haunting the last dwindling 2% forest of the country in the name of development. And all these things has ripple effect. The fishing industry is dying because of somebody is building a guest house there in Western Ghats, or somebody is trying to build a water tunnel, Netravati to God knows where. So we don't have water in Bangalore for 3 months, and we are, the politicians are saying we'll send water to Kolar from Bangalore. You must have read in newspapers that there were 2-3 disasters happening in Western Ghats. The pipes got blasted, people lost their life, huge forest chunks got lost. But the problem is we don't see it as one holistic problem. We see it as, that is a different problem, this is a different problem, fishermen are a different problem. It is all connected because we are living in the same pool. We are shitting in the same pool. We are saying it's somebody's project. Terrified by that word. So I don't feel right that she would wipe it onto her body because it's already there in her body and she wants to get rid of it.
And also, I noticed that.
ನಂಗೆ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ ಇದು ಬದುಕಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ ಮುಗಿಸು ದಯವ ಹೇಳ್ತದೆ ನಿನ್ನ ನಾನು ಮುಗಿಸೋದಿಲ್ಲ ನೀನು ಅವನ ಕೊಲ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ನಾನು ಹೇಳಿಲ್ಲ ನಿನ್ನ ಮುಗಿಸ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ನಾನಲ್ಲ ನೀನು ಸಾಯುವಲ್ಲಿವರೆಗೆ ಪಶ್ಚಾತ್ತಾಪ ಪಟ್ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಅದೇ ನಂಗೆ ಶಿಕ್ಷೆ ಸೊ ಅವನಿಗೆ ಡೆತ್ ಬಂದಾಗ ಬರ್ಲಿ ಅಂತ ಕಾಯ್ತಿದ್ದಾನೆ ಮುಖದಲ್ಲಿ ನಗು ಕೂಡ ಇಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀವಿ ನಾವು ಒಂದು ಸ್ಮೈಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ಚೂರು ಕೈ ಎತ್ತೋದಿಲ್ಲ
ಅಲ್ಲ ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಇದೆ ಬಹಳ ಕ್ಯಾಚ್ ಆಗ್ತದೆ ಅಂತ
Probably in that Sadashiv may know this thing, but Bindu is from Chikmagalur.
Sakleshpur.
So, what was your struggle when the characters, the cast had to know the character? Because the characters belong to this place. That was one of the questions. So then another one is, as a director, you will have certain idea that you want that scene to be in certain way. The actor should act in certain way, or probably the movie should look in certain way. So conveying that to them and making sure that they perform the same on the screen. So basically most of them are from theatre background.
Yeah.
So probably it's, as you said, it's their first movie. So what was your struggle?
I wouldn't say struggle. It was a great experience actually. I really enjoyed this process. It was not at all a struggle. Because struggle is when things are not going your way. But here it was really delicious working with them because of course they come from theatre and most of them are like 1 or 2 seniors or juniors from Neenasam. All of them are from Neenasam. One thing I made sure that all of them are native Tulu speakers, but different dialects. None of them actually speak Mogavira dialect. So even in this small stretch of Tulunadu, there are like 7-8 dialects. So Bindu is from Sakleshpur, Avinash is from Kasaragod. So you have almost the entire spectrum of Tulu dialects. And Manjesha, Sringiri Achar, is a Brahmin Tulu speaker. Shivaldi Tulu speaker. So Apuri Bapuri Tulu. So we have all different dialects of Tulu. And I'm not a Tulu, so I was the worst person to judge Tulu dialect. But then we had language coach, and Ranjit was one of them. Like, he would sit and say, I would ask all these people to speak their dialogue, and Ranjit would very politely, very sweetly say, "Na, hage matadudilla." So he would say, you don't speak like that. And then we say, how would you say the same dialogue? And he would say the dialogue. And initially the version which we had written was pure Tulu. And then we realized, nowadays nobody speaks pure Tulu. You mix a lot of English words. Please, help Manipal. So please and help is okay in Magavira Tulu or today's Tulu. So at the same time we have to be careful at what level English. Because using English words is also indicative of certain kind of education. So we have to restrict ourselves, okay, this much English is okay, this much English is not okay. So we have to we do the entire thing. So we spent almost 15 days rehearsing. We were stationed in Okude Lodge. We would huddle up in one large, Okude, those who knows, it is sort of a large, it's a hall with 8-9 beds spread over. So we would just huddle up, start reading. We would start somewhere around 10:30 and go until 3 o'clock in the night. We would say the same dialogue over and over and over and over. So by the time we reached the set, they knew their lines in and out. Anytime you wake them up and meet him, any character, or even if you say, okay, now today you play Madhav and you play Lady Macbeth, they would know everybody's dialogue by heart. So it's not only about knowing the dialogue, because once you know the dialogue in muscle memory, then you can focus on the performance, because you are not struggling to deliver the dialogue, not struggling to remember the dialogue and perform. And then you can play around with the blocking. So, that became easy. The other thing is, though we all are familiar, like even I am familiar with the Maguire, the landscape and everything, we are not familiar with the Maguire lifestyle. We don't know how they cook, what they cook, where they make love, where they eat. We don't know these things. So it was interesting for me to enter their house, interact with them in that level, and to know their world. Interesting thing is, when we went out to the ocean with them to shoot the boat sections, they said, I'll crudely translate it to English, sir, please shoot, because we have to show it to our wives. I said, wives? Because their own partners have never seen the life in the ocean. They might have shot in mobile phones, there you'll find a lot of clips in the sea. But if they were so happy that their life out there in the ocean is being captured, and then I wondered, hasn't any Tulu film done that? And to my surprise, no Tulu film has done that. It was really surprising that, we make so many Tulu films, and Tulu film unfortunately didn't touch upon that. Because Maguiras are such a big part of our lifestyle here. So these learnings, had a lot of understanding. So what I did is I asked these actors to go and work as daily laborers in port. I mean, they were all freshers, they were all enthusiasm, so they didn't take it derivatively. They said, we'll do it. So Bindu actually went and sat with Meenamma, no, not Meenamma, Bayamma or somebody. So she sat with that lady who's actually in the film. She doesn't have the dialogue in the film. She sat with her and sold fish for 2-3 days. And that lady started in Tulu, like, this is my daughter. She would introduce everybody to Bindu to everybody saying, this is my daughter. And she was some very nice lady, like Bindu. Like, she was very agile. So she started speaking in her Tulu, and we realized their tone of Tulu is much higher, because they are constantly talking against the Shruti of ocean. Like, those who understand music, like, based on the Shruti, your tempo also changes. So, wherever there's ocean, they have to speak over that, on the constant Shruti of ocean. So there, it's not only the dialect, it's also the pitch where they speak. So you have to catch this pitch. So we placed the actors beside the ocean, like in the port. They started selling fish. I'll tell you one incident also. You know Sadashiva. So Sadashiva doesn't smoke. And I wanted that character to smoke, because I felt it would be nice to see this character smoke, because he's slightly ambitious and he wants to show off. So I said, it would be interesting. So I asked him, like, try smoking. He took it very seriously. And one day he says, if I am smoking, a very standstill skin approach, like method acting, I will see how I'll approach. He said, okay, I'll go and buy a cigarette. So he walks straight up to the cigarette shop. He says, in Tulu, of course, he says, one cigarette korle. And the shopkeeper asks, what brand? And he's lost. What brand to ask? So he came running in. What are the brands? I don't know. I don't smoke. And none of our cast members smoke. So I said, we don't know. So, we had many. And, if you observe, Magaviras jump from boat to boat to reach their boat. So we asked, it is not there in the film, but we did all kind of exercise, theatre exercise kind of thing. So I asked, keep familiarizing how to jump from boat to boat, but just ask them just to be careful. So they were practicing that. And one day Avinash and people are just going, and he said, again Sadashivan personally, he says, please don't jump on that net, it's very slippery out there. And I said, Why are you saying that? Because I just fell down there. So, they spent like solid 10-15 days picking up nuances, and we bought our t-shirts there actually. Where the fishermen actually buy their t-shirts.
Blue color.
Blue colors. Yeah, it's all over the small shacks where fishermen would come and. Another interesting thing. So another interesting thing is, if anybody is getting late, please tell me, you can stop. So with those fishermen, people coming to the port also were also familiar with us being there every day. I didn't go there all 15 days, but my actors were there all 15 days. So on the day of the shoot, there are like hundreds of people, and the crowd controlling is always a big challenge in films, because people are looking at the camera, and you don't want people to look into the camera. But on the day when we landed, he just placed the camera, and I told the actor, like, you walk from here and here and do this, say this dialogue. They had their lapel mics, they were sent. And to my utter surprise, we didn't have low budget film. We didn't have like 100 people controlling the crowd of junior artists. Nobody was even bothered that we were there, because we were there every day. These guys are here again today. So nobody looked at us. We had beautiful shots. Nobody looked at the camera because they didn't care that we were there, because we were there every day. So these are the perks of low budget filmmaking. So sir's question was that what are the other films, which is the favorite film of other adaptation, amongst other adaptation. Actually, Malayalam adaptation Joji came, I think, 2 years later, 1 or 2 years later after Paddayi, and there was a Bengali series which came after 1 year of Paddayi.
Mandar again.
Mandar, yeah. Mandar, is very, very close to Paddayi. Some people even said, they're taken from Paddayi because the actress, color tone, everything looks exactly like Paddayi. Those who have seen Mandar, but then they deny, which is fine. But Joji team had approached us. They wanted to watch Paddayi before they started shooting us. So I had sent the film to them, and they had seen, and I think the director acknowledged. But I really liked Joji. Mandar not so much, but Joji was excellent. They had approached, of course, Fadl, great actor, and the kind of minimalistic approach they had to Macbeth, because Shakespeare is also known for his like larger than life characters and larger than life setting. But in Joji, the entire thing has been reduced to, it's a very minimalistic film. So I really enjoyed that. And of course, Makbul is there, so it's a great adaptation. But I would still feel, nothing which beats Throne of Blood. Though it's black and white and, dated technology and etc., but the kind of emotion it holds, that is, very, very, very nice actually. So in that way, I would rate Throne of Blood much higher. Maybe my bias towards Kurosawa, but I think that still stands.
Not okay with the concept of grief and guilt to be associated with poor. It should be more associated with the people that they are more capitalist, and I'm not happy with that.
Fair enough.
What you should take care of as a director, because there are, once the story is out, it's to the public. They can interpret however they want, but as a director, you want to keep some essence of the original story. So which part you try to retain, whether it's the underlying story, whether it's the emotion, or you try to keep as much as you want to retain from the original text, because especially if you take such an older story, older era story, and try to depict in a recent time, urban time, then some morality conflict will come, some characters might be outdated, some obviously the language, because nobody speaks such language now compared to the Shakespeare time. But what, as a director, you try to retain when you make it such adaptation?
I think, am I audible? Yeah. So I think the differentiation here is, am I translating or adapting? So if I'm translating, I'll be very honest to the original text, the literature. But if I'm adapting, then I'm taking a leap from where the original author stands. So the Macbeth of Shakespeare is at a certain level. So I'm going to stand on its shoulder and look at the world through my own perspective. So I'm not going to look at the world through Shakespeare's eyes, but I'm going to sit on his shoulder and take forward his vision from there. So we all learn from our elders. Like I learn from my father, or he learns from his father. So we all enhance our vision based on sitting on the shoulder of our elders. So similarly, when I look at Shakespeare or any adaptation, for that matter, I am adapting his story to my worldview. So this is what I see Macbeth as. I know the story, as I was mentioning earlier, story is just a pretext.
Yeah.
I used this story because I wanted to say something else. I wanted to say how futile the human vanity is, how futile the greed is, the vanity of body, the masculinity is. So to tell that narrative, I've used this shell. So Macbeth is just a shell in that way. So I have taken the liberty of deviating from original Shakespeare towards the end. It's not meant to be a disrespect to Shakespeare or his classic, but this is how I would see, or my character would see the world as. So that is the deviation thing. The other thing I'm conscious, and I think any filmmaker would be conscious, is when you adapt to the jargons or the grammar of this medium. Like in Shakespeare, like in Macbeth, there's one famous monologue. Just before he kills Duncan, he is walking through the corridor, and the sword comes floating towards him, and there's a huge monologue. And how do I adapt it to my medium? Because my medium, the world I've set up, a hanging dagger would look very artificial. It is out of place in this world which I've created. And the monologue would also sound, it doesn't work because it will look like a television serial, like a mind voice coming out, just a voiceover coming out. So then I decided, what if I remove the dialogue itself? So if you remember, just before killing, there's a huge montage where I see them coming, having food, alcohol, and then Lady Macbeth holds him the dagger, and he takes the dagger, but it looks like fish, and then it looks like Tambila offering to the Bhuta. So it looks like his daily bread, it looks like his devotion, it looks like his profession, and he's confused. So instead of having dialogues, having monologue, I replaced it with visual interpretation of the same monologue. So I'm being truthful to the text, the original text, and I'm also being truthful to my medium. Because for me as a filmmaker, my medium is also, that's my vanity. So that's how I would approach any text. Sugandhi smells the perfume for the first time.
Yeah.
There's sound, right? You remember that scene, right? So we had shot that and we didn't capture the sound. Because that enhances the feel of it. It's not just smell, also the sound. So we were wondering what to do. We had already finished the sound recording for the Foley sound. Foley is, the footsteps and other things which are incidental sounds, tragic sounds. We finished recording that. Going back to the studio would cost us, and we were, really shoestring budget. So I was wondering what to do, and then realized my Malayali sound designer had bad cold that day. And he said, "Don't worry, sir, I'll do it." Now visualize Sugandhi with that.
Couple of sentences and finally couple of final shots.